Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. My name is Justin Serrano, and we'll be mocking as a business consultant under JSS Consulting Development, and we'll be looking at the organization AK Behavior Analyst. So, AK Behavior Analyst is an applied behavior analysis organization, which is typically a one-to-one dyadic relationship between a practitioner and a client. There are supervisors that come in and oversee how the practitioner and the client are working together and what progress they're making towards their goal acquisition. No, I'm sorry, goal attainment, skill acquisition, or or managing behavior. Um, the supervisor in this organization also conducts the assessments, does the data analysis, and then also creates programs. And then the practitioner goes and executes that, collects the data, and then reports it back. And then with that report, the supervisor will then, take all the information and then write a report for either graduation, which means they've mastered all their things and they no longer need the services, or if they are in need of continued service, that they will write the report for either an extension of services, um, yeah, if there's an initial assessment, then they'll write that services are needed. But with that being said, Raven's power bases, we look at expert power because this is a clinical role. There is a lot of academic and professional expertise that are needed. One is how to do these assessments, how to administer these programs, how to collect data, how to analyze these data. There's a lot of schooling that goes involved, so a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills and practice that takes place, and obviously the ability to continue the work that is really like scheduled. Um, so there's a lot of that expert power that goes into it. Referent power is also very important in the field because you have to build relationships, you have to build rapport with the client, you have to work alongside a whole bunch of different agencies that are on the team of said clients, and then also you have to make sure that you have these relationships with either um, the entity is called um, regional center, and then the governing board is called the BACB. And you have to be able to have all these relations in place so that you can continue to work together. And then also legitimate power, because you're a practitioner, you're a clinical professional administering like programs and a whole bunch of other stuff. You're seen to be this authoritative figure. When we go into homes, the families will expect us to know everything and or have answers to correct things right away. But we also have to make sure that we let them know that this is a process. And even though we are knowledgeable and have the skill set to produce the strategies or the programs, that there's a lot more that goes into it. And additionally, rewarding power, because we do like reinforcing schedules, we do preference assessments, we discover like things that are working and not working, um, or we do a first and then, like, first you do this, then you get that. We provide some sort of reinforcer or reward for the client, um, and that's very important, that we have those elements of power understood. And then, what areas can we increase power? Expert power, because there's a governing board. There are board certifications you can get. You can become a BCBA with a master's degree, some supervision hours, and then sitting for an exam. You can do a BCABA, which you need a bachelor's degree. You need so many supervision hours in an academic, the academic section of it. You can become an RBT, which you don't need a degree. You just need to do hours and be supervised. And then you can also just be just a practitioner. Also increasing, so you can do schooling to level up your expert power, and increasing referent power. You can join You can join some like seminars. You can do networking events. You can join like clubs or like group supervisions, and then you can also work with other agencies. You can build like those relationships. Additionally, when you work with the families or other guiding entities for the clients, you build those relationships. And yeah, so the biggest thing is being able to know how to execute in a role of ABA. So expert power would probably be the primary target to like increase power in the field. So looking at AK behavior analysis, we'll look at the artifacts, exposed values, and underlying assumptions. So in the field of ABA, there are, like our data sheets, um, our assessments, our intakes, just like codes of conduct, like the autonomy that we have, um, the tailored fit kind of orientation of things there. For our sports values, I think that orientation fit thing, the client centric, clients come first. We have to make sure that we tailor fit programs for them specifically because everybody's different. Um, Again, it's very unique in that way. um, Underlying assumptions, we have to go by the BACB, that governing board. They have their code ethics. Everything is under the compliance of and regulations that they provide the group of ABA. And then also we have to also abide by the regional center, the entity that provides or vendorizes agencies like AK behavior analysts so that they can work with clients. So aka behavior analyst has a high alignment of response values and assumptions. Um, they afford us like practitioners with autonomy to make sure that we tailor fit um, for clients to have that client centric like situation or program. Everybody's different, so we are afforded this. So we are kind of congruent with how the nature of the field is. Things that needs to happen for AK behavior analysis is that it's a 3-year-old company and they really just piggyback off of what the vision and mission of like the BACB, the governing board, does. We use their ethics book, the code of ethics. We follow everything that they do, and then also we abide by a lot of what the regional center does. So there really isn't a cultural identity specific for AK behavior analysis, and that's something that I do think that should be identified, created, and then established so that they can separate themselves from other vendors. Okay, so this was pretty interesting to look at. And so Cameron and Quinn talks about the General Motors situation, and if we were gonna share this with a high school in class, so imagine a big factory that works on cars that started to fail, really had a toxic culture. Things didn't work out. They started, and once they failed, they needed to like revitalize themselves by partnering with Toyota, and they started to call themselves NUMMI. And what happened was that they shifted from kind of that toxic culture and the you know the lack of trust between each other, and then they were given the authority to like really call out situations. So once they were able to start calling out situations, they called it stopping the line. And then what they were able to do is after they stopped the line, they were able to address the issues that were happening, and because of that it created like that buy-in. And once they started to buy in, they gave them some sort of like satisfaction, and then started normalizing that buy-in, which then created that culture. And because they were able to collectively take ownership of of their own role as a line worker, um, it really changed the culture and really improved the situation. And this is how you move from sabotage to success in that story. And then here we have, as a Christian, looking at the perspective of organizational change, one of my favorite Bible verses is this: "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Romans 12:2. So, as a applic- as applying this to behavior analysis, um, what we can do is look to making everything in our way. Um, you know, I guess, hold on, sorry. I was trying to say is that a Christian's perspective on organization, as the Bible verse says, do not conform any longer to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's evident that when organizations do make the change, is they're trying to make their way out. They're trying to make a difference and move away from something that was no longer serving them. And as the Bible, shows that through the renewal of your mind, we're able to, what's it? How's it go? We're able to test and prove what God's perfect will is. So through, this kind of renewing of an organization by making these adjustments, changes, the organization themselves will able to prove themselves for a more aligned to what perfect would be for them if they're getting back to their mission and vision. Um, and yeah, so thank you for having this discussion with me. Here's my references, and I hope everybody's doing wonderfully.